Hello, and welcome to my playground. This is the Mad Chemist Church or Church McGurch, depending on where you know me from. And welcome to Man Reviews. Let's get my mic into a little closer here. Readjust that a little bit. Readjust me a little bit. Today we're going to be looking at Salt and Sacrifice. Now, this is the... why are you not working, mouse? So, this is the second game to another game I reviewed called Salt and Sanctuary. So, Salt and Sacrifice is more or less a successor to Salt and Sanctuary, but not a, I would say, direct sequel. A lot of the game has changed. So as you can see, I saved my game twice because I knew because of the last time in Salt and Sanctuary, when I beat the game, it immediately sent me into a New Game Plus mode. So I couldn't really show much. I couldn't really do much of a walkthrough or of a review. So I did the smart thing and I saved, beat the game, so you can see I got a New Game Plus, and then I saved right before I beat the game so that I can go into the game and kind of do like a show and tell, kind of do a walkthrough of the game in itself. And I did play this on controller. So you have items around that you can pick, and these are how you kind of make potions and other items. And there's a lot of differences in this one. This one, you have like a stockpile, like an inventory kind of thing where you can hold on to stuff. So these are just different heavy armor sets because each armor set has a different defensive value. So depending on what you're going after, you know, you might want a different set of armor with a different set of values, or a different weapon with a different kind of element attached to it. You also have your ranged weapon. You also, in this one, they added like a bunch of different accessories and other items that you can get from defeating the bosses and kind of repeating the bosses. All different kinds of items you can get, all different kinds of like craftables you can get. You can either store them or put them in here. You can only hold so many on you, and then they start automatically feeding into there, and then key items. This was like a key item I got for picking my background. Never used it. Had no idea what it's for. All the rest of these were things that kind of unlock stuff later. So you can see, looks the same, kind of has the same feel, same movement, same kind of items. There's a couple things I don't think I finished on this playthrough, and it's just items like I'd have to go back and find. Some of the differences being like you can find these items in these hidden chests and you'll upgrade. Like I still think I have like one or two more of these that I have to go find before they're max upgraded, but there's several different things you can max upgrade. Like here, like you can upgrade that. Those are for when you die, you get a debuff. Like you to get. There's other things you get, like these decoctions that deal extra damage, or they're technically like elemental bombs and stuff. So there's more of a base camp in this one, where the other one, your base camp was purely kind of like the different shrines, and then you could customize each shrine by putting different stones in each shrine. This is a kind of everything is here. So this is your quote-unquote tent, house, whatever you want to call it. And every time you defeat a boss or something, you'll get like an item, or you can craft an item, or you'll get an item. And you put it in your storage chest, or you leave it on you in your inventory, and it goes here. So you can see like all the different bosses that I beat. I might be missing one, I'm not 100% sure. This game didn't get that good of reviews. Yeah, artifacts. You get artifacts by beating bosses, finding chests, different things like that. And you can purge them for parts, and then you can combine those memories that they drop to make the better ones, which then you can then take and bolster the artifact to basically re-roll its stats. You also have items that will upgrade your gear, which then you can break down to lower end. So in case you get a piece of gear and you're like, well, I don't have any of that lower end one, but I have a ton of the higher end one, which is kind of what's shown here. Like I need 2 of those clusters, which are super rare to get. So I wouldn't be able to say, and I can upgrade that, but that's like my base starter gear. It's not really that great. I can upgrade that, but there's a limited number of those without having to go and farm certain bosses. So I'd have to go and I'd have to farm those bosses, and then maybe there's a good chance that'll drop. This technically isn't really the best gear, but I kind of gave up farming, seeing as I've beaten the game. And I really don't do these games for the New Game Plus. I really don't go back to see just how hard the game can be or just how good I am. I just play the game. But technically, like, the best for my setup for, like, strength is these hollowed greaves. I think I have, like, the hollowed gauntlets, the hollowed greaves, and the hollowed helm, but the only thing I'm missing is the hollowed chest piece. They're pretty difficult to farm. So going to equipment, you have an amulet, you have a charm, which is generally like a dagger, your ammunition, your throwing weapon, your weapon itself, your secondary weapon, so kind of like the same stuff from the first game, and then you get 2 rings. And then you get 3 different accessories, an offensive, a defensive, and a utility. So I have item find because I was out there farming, kind of a tanky build, so I did max health and max poise. And then, of course, since I'm using a 2-handed weapon, I want attack speed and melee damage. Inventory is just kind of like what you have on you. Like I have a bunch of random stuff. Bunch of random items. A lot of these are for the multiplayer stuff, since this did add kind of like the stuff from like Dark Souls, where you can be invaded, you can invite your friends over to help you, things like that. Kind of shows you your overall stats. Mages devoured, so I think there's 21 different types in the game, and I've got all 21. Journal kind of shows you what to do next. And then obviously the bestiary, see all the different things. Like I'm missing a couple of these because they're summoned, so I'd have to go find a specific creature. Like, yeah. I'd have to go find a specific creature and then wait for it to like summon an enemy and then kill it. Yeah, like a lot of these are just summoned ones. I've looked them up because I'm like, what am I missing? And then I go and I find it, and it's like a stupid, oh, this guy was summoned by this guy, but it's a rare chance, and then you have to fight him. But other than the berries, you have like little things like that you can get, and it's all pretty much designed just for like the crafting and the leveling up of your different like usable items. Of course, it's kind of the same as the first game, kind of the same everything. You pick your different trees, you can buff certain things, get different tiers. Like I'm a class 5 2-hander. I think I got class 3 throwing axes, and then of course like class 5 heavy armor. You can kind of see there's all kinds of different things. Yeah, and class 3 glyph reader, which is the magic, because weapons do have like magic. This is the only place in the game you can level up, so if you get a lot of salt and you die, you better go get it. As you can see, left trigger here opens up a menu where I can cast spells, but this one's based on rage rather than magic. This guy, your typical merchant. He really doesn't sell much. Just kind of like after you defeat a certain number of enemies, you can get like you can buy salt if you have more silver than anything. After you defeat a certain number of enemies, he'll sell like their sets of armor, so you can like look at them. There's other NPCs that are just kind of there to talk, or they'll hold special gear for you so you can look like their faction by collecting their tokens throughout the world or killing certain things or mages or challenges. There's a stable master. Some of these guys are just for info lore dumps. You can pet the deer horse thing. You can pet it. You get different abilities throughout the thing. It's kind of the same as the last game. You got different like marks. This one, it gave you like different items, not really the marks like they did like that. There's like a grappling hook. This guy I think just sells like his gear, yeah. And he sells random items that you use and it'll enchant your weapon with a specific damage. And there's other little things. There's like a whole underground area. So you can get like other things. Like you get random stuff from like opening stuff. There's the other NPCs you find along the way, and they're pretty much, they'll ask you to do something for them, like a faction, and then you can purchase their gear for doing the little whatevers. That's kind of one of the main differences between the two games. And I have unlocked everyone on this playthrough. So I've collected all the NPCs. I've found all the kind of like, you'll destroy things and get, just so wherever there's like a bee, you can press it. You can get all these, like the guy down there, you know, all these different factions, the guy up there top right, and I believe there's somebody, yeah, there's like a converted monster you can find. And this guy gives you kind of like monster parts, basically. Like the lower end monster parts you can purchase. In case like you need one of something, instead of going out and farming it, you can legitimately just go here and buy that one piece that you're missing. So a lot of these guys, a lot of their tokens and stuff come from doing quests, killing mages. Mages are technically the bosses. And then there's like mini bosses that are just named characters, or like named NPCs. There's a bounty board. I played offline, so I didn't do any of that stuff. You get these tomes. These tomes allow you to hunt mages, but you have to like complete an area before you can get the tomes, or you have to find like a secret spot. There's this like magnetic thing that'll help you get to places and move around easier. There's all kinds of secrets everywhere. Different, like I said, different NPCs for different factions. They're another NPC that you kind of can just find, and you help NPCs out. You can pet the kitty, the horned kitty. Different story things that happen, like that's just empty, since that was another story thing along that happened. The other big thing is you talk to this and you get to the mirror gate, and the mirror gate allows you to travel, or you can do missions. So far I have no named mage hunts because I've killed them all. I have no nameless mage hunts because I've killed them all. But you do have an unending case of all the mages, nameless mages, like you can fight all these bosses, you can fight again at harder levels to get more of their parts, or a chance at getting pieces of their armor, or sets that they might drop, or weapons, or whatever item it might be. But unlike the other one, unlike the first game, you pick a location and then you go out to it. So we're gonna pick the Ashburn Village. This is the first area. And this is where you'll actually go outside of your camp and into an environment where you fight. You still have notes, you still have your way of teleporting, fast travel, returning to camp, rest and resupply. You can collect your stuff. So as you explore, you'll find different things around. You'll find these little guys. These will cause items or scenes. And this will cause you to go into a hunt, which then you can track down a mage. And fight the mage. Which leads you into like a hide-and-seek-esque kind of mini-game. To which, if you haven't killed them by the time you've found the mage. If you haven't killed them by that point in time. Then there's little ones. So here's a mage. Now they'll summon a guy. Like they summon that dude there. These guys will drop items that are specific to this mage, so to this boss. And then you play essentially a game of hide and seek. I wasn't paying attention because I was gabbing. I was talking. Also, there's no map. So get good at remembering things, where things are. Because there's a lot of back and forth in this game, especially as you get new abilities. Like as you can see down there, kind of near where my head is, that's a nameless post where you would have to come back with a certain item. And as soon as you have that item, you can then get that nameless post to start a nameless hunt. So this guy, he's going to tell me where he's going. Well, kind of telecommunicate where he's going. And then we're going to do this. You do so much damage. He'll summon some NPCs. Rinse, repeat. And you're just kind of just do this until one of two things happens. Either you kill the boss or you get to their quote-unquote lair. This guy's a lot weaker. So I doubt I don't know if I'll actually make it to his lair before I kill him. So he just went up, so you can kind of see there's a wisp of smoke. It's telling me he went up. So he went this way. So grappling hook over. There he goes. He summoned another enemy, different than the little imps. Now he went up, and that guy gave me 3 nails this time. Here's another trigger for another mage. And so there's a bunch of different areas. All kinds of fun stuff that you can do. All different kinds of weapons. I wasn't paying any attention, but I can see it's sending me up. All different places you can visit. There's a handful of cool scenes. Lots of exploration. Decent enemies. Didn't really fool around too much with the online stuff. I'm not a fan of that kind of Dark Souls. I'm not a fan of that style of Dark Souls. Like, that wasn't like my favorite thing in that series. Where someone couldn't, like, calling for aid for your friends was neat. I'll say that. Oh, there's a heavy attack. Being able to, like, call for aid and get people to help you out was a cool heal. That was a cool aspect that Dark Souls introduced, but I was not a fan of the invasions. And that's one of the things they added to this, is that instead of doing, like, online couch co-op and online co-op, where you could play, like, one and one other person, they did it where you could summon another person into your game, but it also came into the kill him, and I eat his heart. But since I've already done this before, I don't get any benefit from taking the heart. I just get all the items he drops. But like I was saying, I wasn't a huge fan of the invasions. I know in some of them it's an integral part, and there's certain items you can only get by killing invaders and blah 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 blah. But I was never a fan. I don't like playing a PvE game, and then out of nowhere this random person shows up and just wrecks you because one, you weren't paying attention, or two, you're not set up to be fighting another person. You're kind of like, I'm just here to fight these monsters and try to survive. Oh look, that red person is walking at me. I've never seen that enemy before, and then they just insta-kill you with like a 2-hit combo because they're sweaty. So pretty much that's it. There are fast travel options. Once you find them, you can fast travel. Like each area has, I believe, 3 fast travel. So this one plus 2 more. And they're kind of out there, so it's not like you get too much. So here's another mage. You can generally find like 2 or 3 of them in a map at a time. And then hunt them, leave, come back, and then they replenish themselves. But that's pretty much the best overview I can give of this game. Story-wise, it lacks heavily in story. It got very boring near the end of the game. I think the last like 1 or 2 levels, I'd say the game got really boring. And kind of repetitive. And the final boss fight wasn't much of a final boss fight. I just didn't enjoy it. Not as much as I enjoyed the game kind of when it was first starting. I forgot to show the magic, but overall, I like the game. I can understand why this game actually does have a lot of mixed reviews. Because this game does have a lot of mixed reviews on Steam. This is where you start. And I can kind of see where people are coming from. This game is nothing like the first one. Oh yeah, that's right. This guy just tells you about... This guy is just another... He just tells you what you can do over here. And, oh well, also this is where you craft your gear. So when you kill the mages, you come back over here. And this shows you with their parts, what parts and what you can craft. Slash, if you've already crafted it, as in there's a backpack on it, as you can see. And each area has like 3 to 4 mages you can kill, except for I think the last area, which only has like 2. But other than that, like, that's pretty much where the game ends. That's pretty much it. You can get these from the mages. That's kind of why the loot drop is there. They're pretty much like 1 tier away from being maxed anyways. But I can kind of see where a lot of the criticisms come for this game. It wasn't that thrilling. Combat was pretty repetitive. Having to go from area to area, killing what felt like almost the exact same mages with just a different elemental flavor, kind of got boring. Having to, every time I die, having to have a guiltless shard to take away the debuff and get all my stats back. Because if you die, you get a debuff that basically takes away a bunch of your stats. And the only way to get rid of it is getting one of these. So I just farmed those nameless mages, and they drop 1 or 2 almost every time you fight them and kill them. Overall, it wasn't a bad game. It needs a lot of work still, I would say, but as far as I believe the developers are concerned, this game is done. So any and pretty much all of your complaints, or my complaints, or anybody's complaints for that matter, will pretty much be falling upon deaf ears, as I don't know when the last time this game got updated. I believe there was an update a couple years or so ago, and it added like an optional area, but it didn't really add much. It just added an optional area with a couple extra little things here and there. And as far as like the ending goes, there's two endings, and they're both pretty boring, pretty standard. Like, you've seen them but once before. Not too cool like the first game did it. Like, where the first game you had kind of like three endings. One of them was kind of a secret. This one, you had choices when you killed the mages. You could ask them a question. You could tell them they were defeated and that they shouldn't have trusted their power, or you could like say nothing. And I went through the entire game saying nothing to all the mages, thinking like maybe this was like how you determine the ending, or maybe there's a secret ending if you just say nothing, or maybe there was an achievement for saying nothing, like the Silent Inquisitor or something. Nothing. There was nothing. I got nothing. No items, no nothing. I even held on to like your first helmet you get, thinking like maybe it was like the last game where if you put on a certain thing and then you right before you fight the boss, you do this, and then it changes kind of your like last option, and it gives you this secret ending. But I got nothing. I got essentially a repeat ending from the first Dark Souls. The ending to this game is essentially Dark Souls. You have two choices, and it's pretty much the exact same as Dark Souls, the first game. So if you've played and beaten Dark Souls, you've pretty much played and beaten this game. Just saying. If you did pick this game up on sale, pretty cheap, because that's what I did. I picked this game up, I think, for like $5 on sale, on like a winter sale or something. But if you picked it up then, it's definitely worth the play, and I hope you enjoy. But that's where I'm going to have to end this review. And so, until next time, you be you, you stay you, and most importantly, adventure on.